Hi, my name is Rick Araujo and I am a Christian author and teacher. I surveyed nearly 3,000 people over 10 years and asked them a simple question. Do you think the world is falling apart? What do you think most people said? Yep. 99% of them said yes. I wasn't sure, so I searched for a way to determine if that was true. I was looking for a statistic, matrix, or demographic that could prove whether the world was falling apart. I instinctively sensed there are many cases where perception and reality could sometimes differ. I decided to go to Google and ask Google what percentage of people living only in the United States were actually in prison. My reasoning was that if the percentage of people in prison was high, it would justify the people who said yes. If the percentage of people in prison was low, then perhaps something else was influencing people's perception. I then asked each person I surveyed what percentage of the American population did they think were in prison. I was astonished by their answers. People 20 years old and under on average said 65 to 70%. People 20 to 30 years old on average said 35%. People 30 to 50 years old on average said 15%. And people 50 years old and older on average said 5% or less. Knowing the actual percentage of Americans in prison was far lower than what all of them answered, I could not wait to see their reaction to the truth. According to recent statistics, about 0.7% of the US population, around 2.2 million people, are incarcerated in federal, state, and local prisons combined. I wish I'd taken a picture of each person's face as their jaws dropped to the floor when I told them the truth. I never expected the results of this simple survey. I found it fascinating how people's age groups influence their perception of the prison population, highlighting a significant gap between perception and reality. This stark contrast between perception and reality caused me to ask them a third question. Who altered your perception? Obviously, the truth was far lower than any of them guessed. The prevailing answers were the media, social media like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, and personal relationships. This survey is a powerful illustration of how our perceptions are shaped by external influences and how disconnected they can be from reality. I then posed a real-life example to help them see how their perceptions have been altered. I asked them to imagine we were going to watch the news tonight in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was all about 5 people being shot that day downtown. I researched and found that approximately 500,000 people live in the downtown area. If we take the number 5 and divide it by 500,000, we get 0.00001%. That represents 1/10,000th of the population in the downtown area. Yet we will conclude, wow, Atlanta, Georgia must be dangerous. I then pointed out that 1/10,000th of anything is not a large enough sample to justify a conclusion or worry about. Let's look at another real-life, very troubling current-day example. School shootings. I went to Google and asked how many private and public schools are in the domestic United States. Turns out 114,862. I then asked Google how many school shootings there have been. Turns out 426. Doing the math, dividing 426 by 114,862 equals 0.0037. Rounding up to 0.004 means that only 0.001% of the US schools have experienced a shooting event. The amount of stress and anxiety school shootings cause parents of school-age children is off the charts. It doesn't take much imagination to imagine a parent's conscious or unconscious fear they experience daily thinking, is this the last time I'm kissing my child goodbye? The media plays a significant role in shaping our perceptions of the world. Sadly, tragedy and drama dominate headlines, leading people to believe such events are normal. This is a perilous and health-degrading way of life. This can create a distorted view of reality, leading people to believe that adverse events are more common than they actually are. In my video, The Heart's Hidden Power, I demonstrated how the negative core beliefs we hold in our heart-brain are perpetrated by all types of media controlling our health and destiny. Not only do our deeply held negative core beliefs degrade our health and destiny, but frustratingly, these media types also often magnify fear-inducing events because such stories draw more attention, clicks, and engagement. This creates a fear feedback loop where people overestimate the prevalence of adverse events and even causes people to ignore contradictory evidence. Anxiety about the world leads to increased news consumption, further fueling those fears. And the internet is not helping the situation. Think about it. In today's world, we know who dies worldwide in a matter of minutes. We really don't need to know who is dying all over the world. It is simply too overwhelming. I mentioned all the foundational information above to make this one major point. It's time to break free from the fear feedback loop. As great as negative core beliefs affect us, our immediate and more significant concern should be the health risks to our entire civilization. While it's essential to stay informed about global challenges, we must also celebrate progress and acknowledge the positive aspects of our world. As I mentioned in my The Heart's Hidden Power video, we now know that 93% of all mental and physical illnesses are a direct result of stress and anxiety. Extrapolating, it is a well-known and accepted understanding that we all have cancer cells in our bodies every single second of every single day. Yet when our immune system is functioning properly, these cancer cells don't get out of control. Conversely, when our immune system becomes weakened, the cancer cells can now flourish. This raises the question, what weakens our immune system? Yep, stress and anxiety. According to the American Cancer Society, there are 5,480 new cancer diagnoses each day. That is an astounding 288.33 cases per hour. Instead of succumbing to fear, let's choose hope. There is no more significant source of hope than the Bible. Let's challenge ourselves to seek out hope by entering into a relationship with Jesus, seeking positive news stories, engaging in constructive dialogue, and support organizations working to make the world a better place. By focusing on solutions and working together, we can create a brighter future for ourselves and generations to come. Remember, the world is not falling apart. By entering into a relationship with Jesus, we can shape the kind of world we want to live in. Practical applications 1. Challenge false narratives. Because it is so easy to accept distorted narratives, we need to question the media's sources of information and seek objective data. 2. The value of context. We need to understand that isolated incidents should not define our perception of a larger group, area, or situation. The best way to achieve this is to focus on the big picture. 3. Expose the role of core beliefs. We must not lose sight of how deeply held beliefs can filter how we interpret information. For example, if someone believes the world is dangerous, they are more likely to focus on stories that confirm that belief, ignoring contradictory evidence. 4. Promote media literacy. We need to critically assess the media we consume. Look to identify sensationalism, evaluate sources, and understand the difference between anecdotal and statistical evidence.